Good morning, everybody. Not only do we get John Williams as our opening music, we get Sun. Welcome to our May the 4th service. I'm so pleased all of you are here. The poet Langston Hughes has written, "Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken-winged bird that cannot fly." And with those words, I'd like to welcome you again to Live Oak Unitarian Universalist Congregation. I'm Kendra Wise. I'm your worship associate this morning. I'm also the president of the Board of Trustees, and I'm delighted to see all of you here today. Also, I got a chance to wear this t-shirt. I've been waiting. For those on Zoom, it has a picture of Princess Leia, and it says, "A woman's place is in the resistance." In this liberal religious community, we welcome all. Our generations join together to nurture spiritual growth and personal transformation, that we can be inspired to transform the world with love, hope, compassion, and justice.
Welcome to this house of memory and celebration. Today is International Star Wars Day. Big whoop. Anyway, it's a play on the calendar, May the 4th. May the 4th be with you, and the Force as well. A few words from Rumi for opening. Sorrow prepares you for joy. It violently sweeps everything out of your house so that new joy can find a space to enter. It shakes the yellow leaves from the bough of your heart so that fresh green leaves can grow in their place. It pulls up the rotten roots so that new roots hidden beneath have room to grow. Whatever sorrow shakes from your heart, far better things will take their place. It is our time for meditation. Please get comfortable in a chair. Be aware of your energy as part of this earth's energy. The life force is flowing through you in your breath, in your heartbeat. Have Anne come read something.
When I Am Among the Trees by Mary Oliver. When I am among the trees, especially the willows and the honey locust, equally the beech, the oaks, and the pines, they give off such hints of gladness. I would almost say that they save me, and daily. I am so distant from the hope of myself, in which I have goodness and discernment, and never hurry through the world, but walk slowly and bow often. Around me the trees stir in their leaves and call out, "Stay a while." The light flows from their branches, and they call again. "It's simple," they say. And you too have come into the world to do this, to go easy, to be filled with light, and to shine.
To get oriented, how many in the room have never seen a Star Wars movie or TV show? A few. Not very many, which is a point. This is a big cultural phenomenon. Here in 1977, a series of films got started that were intentionally religious. George Lucas didn't say so at the time. In later interviews, he says, yes, I wanted that idea of the Force to invite a kind of spiritual reflection, to invite a connection beyond ourselves, and also intentionally political. It was all about activism. And when it started, it was still the Vietnam War, and then different causes through the years that people needed to be awake about and rise to the call. The whole project was based on the work of Joseph Campbell. George Lucas was trying to write a story set in space for a young audience. He couldn't quite get a backbone to it, a storyline that worked. He had individual episodes, he had some characters in mind. And a friend said, have you ever read Joseph Campbell? And he had, as a college freshman. A lot of people read The Hero with a Thousand Faces in freshman comp or some early class. So he went back and read that and a few other things, and he said, I've got it. This hero's journey, this initiatory adventure, there's my story. And this is the great universal story of awakening, of finding our place in this world. So, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. That is the call. That is Princess Leia in a droid. Well, there's a little story before that. Luke Skywalker is working in his family farm, a prosperous, well-off farm family on a distant planet that's mostly agriculture. He was adopted, doesn't know much about that, but his aunt and uncle, who are his parent figures, are very loving. And they just bought some used droids to do some farm work. And he's cleaning one of them off, and out comes this projection. This is R2-D2, which went on a rather long journey to get there, an R2 detour. But they get worse. Stay with me here. So here is the beginning. It is actually Princess Leia that brings things into motion. She represents the needs of the collective. Destiny is when your attributes, your skills, your interests, your energies align with the necessities of history. When you see a fit, oh, I could do this. You don't have to do everything. There are other people for other jobs. But if you have a skill and the need is great, the call is there. Now, he meets through this difficult situation. Luke Skywalker meets Obi-Wan Kenobi, who was actually a neighbor. His uncle referred to him as that strange guy, that old wizard. But they call him Ben, but his actual name is Obi-Wan. And he is, in fact, a Jedi Master who knows great things. He knows about the Force, this mysterious energy that reaches some people on a more powerful level than others, who gives them access to skills or an ability to multiply the skills they already have that can lead to amazing things. One thing that Obi-Wan can do is sort of read minds and manipulate minds a little. These are not the droids you are looking for. And nothing here. These are not the droids we're looking for, and off the guards go. Well, we do that too. People do that in a very low level. I call it telegraphing, where someone will tell you what they want you to do, and they will tell you how to think of them. And yes, you are a very admirable person. And we find ourselves, it's almost like a little string is tugging at our brain. And then you have to step back a little bit. Well, wait a second. Actually, I think you're a little shifty. But people will project what they want, the way a Jedi was, but on a very low level. And he opens Luke up to the very idea of the Force, teaches him how to feel and channel it. But their time together is very limited. There is some training. He teaches him to use the lightsaber and gives him one that had belonged to Luke Skywalker's father. Doesn't know very much about his father, and there's a whole story in this about seeking out old wounds. So there was this one time they were out at a Chinese restaurant, and Luke was having difficulty with the chopsticks. And Obi-Wan said, "Use the forks, Luke." It takes nerve to tell jokes like that. Okay. So Princess Leia, I love that this is a kind of beatific picture of her, and she comes in as an aristocrat, as a princess, royalty. Why royalty? Why, in this day and age, people who believe in democracy like us, why would we be the least bit interested in characters who represent royalty? Because it's symbolic. It represents our own nobility, our own higher calling, our sense of place and purpose and contribution. It is Leia's decision, despite her privilege, to join the rebellion that sets the whole story in motion. She is the messenger that brings the call. She represents our better angels. Meanwhile, the poorly prepared Luke gets into a duel with Darth Vader, who cuts off his hand. So now Luke Skywalker, who's supposed to be an important part of history here and is without one. He gets a high-tech replacement, which I presume came from the second-hand store. I like that one. I don't know, it's too weird for you. And then we meet Yoda. Yoda is the next teacher. Along the way, if you are being in service, you will find a number of teachers. They will find you. History will find them for you. And Yoda, this strange creature, very old, he builds on what Obi-Wan had taught Luke. He guides Luke through some more intensive training, which helps develop the skills that will be needed for what is coming up. He is an elderly Jedi Grand Master. He, that is Yoda, demonstrates his attunement with the Force by lifting Luke's 10-ton X-Wing fighter up out of a swamp bog, which is not bad for a creature going on 900 years old who walks with a cane. By the way, don't ever try to borrow money for Yoda. He's always a little short. Yeah, that one was kind of tasteless, wasn't it? Okay, 30 years later, I've told a few scenes from the first film, and the second little part is a few scenes from the first of the sequels, which would take place 30 years later. We will actually see some of the same characters a bit long in the tooth. But first we meet Rey, R-E-Y. Rey is a salvage expert. Scavenger, I said salvage, I meant salvage. She was abandoned as a child. She had a hard life, and she was surviving as we meet her by, she's on a war-torn planet. There's a lot of wreckage of huge spaceships and battles, and they have some valuable electronic parts. And she has become, through the need of survival, quite skilled at finding the one small section of the guts of a huge hunk of metal and how to take it out carefully and get it to the junk dealer so that she can eat. This is her life, scraping by. Even in a hard-scrabble life, certain skills are learned. When destiny calls, you might find that things you learned that you were annoyed at the time, that you didn't even want to know, turn out to be just the right thing for the moment. This is a strange way that life mysteriously prepares us. So she's, among other things, doing some repairs on a derelict old spaceship. I mean, in space terms, a spaceship that's 40 years old is just an antique. It's falling apart. It is the Millennium Falcon, the ship that was in the first trilogy. Now it's in storage behind a junk dealer's shack, and she learns a lot about how to repair spaceships, which, yes, will come in later. And the story picks up. There is a resistance fighter named Poe Dameron. He's in there, where is he? I can't see, there's a lot in that one picture. Anyway, he's in there somewhere, and he is able to get a hold of a map which shows the location of Luke Skywalker, who's alive. All these years later, that young buck who was the hero of the first three films is now a Jedi Master, quite elderly, and sought out for his guidance. He is the one that possibly could lead to some kind of victory against fascism. Poe is captured, but not before he gets the map into a droid. Remember this thing of something being in a droid? This is a different droid, a different movie many decades later, but now the map and the holy grail of the story is to find that map so that we can find Luke, so that we can get the leadership, so that we can stand up against fascism. The droid gets lost. Poe crash lands. The droid finds its way to Rey, who's out there grabbing things off of Rex. She sees what it has and realizes its importance and decides to go. This is her call. Something comes to you into your life, into your field of awareness, and it says, this is important. And others may not notice it. I need to do this. And others may say, no, you have a full life. There's a lot of other things you need to do. No, I need to do this. And you can't really defend yourself even to yourself. There's instinct or intuition or something. Well, Poe and the other fighter, the guy in the left of the poster holding the lightsaber, the black guy, his name is Finn. He didn't even have a name at the beginning of the story, but he rescues Poe. The two of them dart off. He was a stormtrooper. He was a bad guy. And they told him, go kill everybody in that village. And he said, there are children there. Yes, kill. And he wouldn't do it. He couldn't do it. He had a little humanity left in him, and he had to run for it. This is an interesting story about conversion, about second chances, about lost causes being changed around at some point in the story. So they take off together. Now it's Finn and Poe and Rey, who's over to the left of your poster there, holding a big light spear. They make their way to a cantina. We had the cantina music from the first film. This is another cantina, a little more elegant actually, and another teacher. Maz Kanata is also a wise, old, and somewhat strange-looking character, very heavy glasses. She has the sight. She also has very big eyes. She can see a thing or two, and she becomes the next mentor. She has chosen not to be in the Jedi, but she knows a lot about the Force. And in her basement, there are some treasures. She's a bit of a collector of lore from the Jedi Knights, and there is a lightsaber. And when Rey wanders down there, it's not clear in the movie why she's even gone there. Maybe she's looking for the restroom. I don't know. But some huge vault door just opens. And clearly she was meant to look at these things. And there is a lightsaber there. And it kind of speaks to her. She goes into an altered state. She's hearing voices, Yoda's voice, ancient voice, Obi-Wan's voice. And it's kind of scary what's happening there. And this saber was actually the one that Obi-Wan had given to Luke that had belonged to Luke's father. Well, Luke's father turns out to be Darth Vader. This is from the dark side. They ask, and how did Darth Vader like his toast? Yeah, on the dark side. But that, yeah. I really should stop, but they're in that no time. I have no free will at this point. And she has, among other things in this altered state, a very disturbing vision, including a childhood memory of a ship leaving her on a war-ravaged planet. A journey, a calling, will bring up memories, not all of them happy. If you press yourself to do something that is beyond what you think you're able to do, your fears will come up, and your old traumas will come up. It's good work, it's good therapy, but it's not always fun. Rey will not take the lightsaber. Maz offers it to her. She is the right person to have it. She is the next heroic leader, but she's not ready for it. It ends up with Finn for safekeeping, so eventually she'll get it, but that hesitance with its humility, but she does realize how large the task she is facing will be. And so they are off. Well, at the moment they're in search of Luke Skywalker. He can help. He has changed roles a number of times, and I have told too many jokes. Listen, it's really hard to come up with jokes about Star Wars. They always feel a little forced. So here is this, yeah, Christine's got this special look for when they're really, really bad. Okay, we've got this holiday, International Star Wars Day. Now, there are other important holidays, some of which we neglect. March 20 is Extraterrestrial Abduction Day. July 23rd is National Hot Dog Day. August 9th is Book Lovers Day. Well, that's a little better. My favorite, September 19th, Talk Like a Pirate Day. Arrgh. And the best of all, December 23rd, Festivus. A holiday for the rest of us. This is from Seinfeld, where they wanted a winter holiday and they didn't like the traditional ones. So you bring an unadorned pole, that's in place of a Christmas tree. You wrestle the host to the ground, and then a ritual airing of grievances, which just sounds like all other family holidays to me. But I want to slip in a word about how holidays, even in parody, hold a little of the sacred. There's a little numinous there. Any ritual you put together alludes to something beyond ourselves. There's a quality of transcendence which is surprising when it's a silly holiday. I don't expect the sacred in a hot dog. However, a good hot dog, never mind. Okay, what can we get out of it? What are the action steps? Well, there's a lot. One is to learn to act on instinct. Sometimes disengaging is the best way to engage. Obi-Wan and Yoda, they sense things that others do not, and they respond accordingly. A mindful awareness of surroundings without getting into distractions or judgments. Another action step. Stretch out with your feelings. During the remote and lightsaber training, Obi-Wan tells Luke, remember, Jedi can feel the Force flowing through them. And after the training, Luke says, rather surprised, you know, I did feel something. And Obi-Wan replies, that's good. You're taking the first step into a larger world. Well, it's really connecting to a larger world, the world we see and the world beyond what we see. There's a lot about embracing origins. Rey has had a rough past. She accepts that all too much sometimes and is overly humble, and it is a bit of a drag on her need to step up quickly. We need to forge our own path. Like Rey, acknowledge your past, but don't let it define you. If you grew up in a family with expectations that don't align with your true self now, acknowledge your roots, but chart your own course. Fear can hold us back. Fear of the unknown, fear of questioning deeply held beliefs, acknowledging our anxieties, using meditation, nature walks, what have you, can help this have less control over us. Rey realizes her strength isn't tied to external forces, it's within her. Trust your inner wisdom, intuition, ability to connect to something greater than yourself, whatever that might be. The next on my list of action steps, find strength in community. The resistance thrives because of teamwork. They are not large in number, but they work well together. Surround yourself with supportive people who uplift and challenge you. Example from the sequel series, Finn, Poe, Rey accomplished far more together than they could alone. Hope is powerful, even if overwhelmed from time to time. This is much like our present-day challenges of climate and social issues. It can be easy to give up and think, what can I do as one person? Remember to start with small things you can do. They can lead to bigger results. The obvious, reduce, reuse, recycle. Be kind, be generous, volunteer, donate, learn, educate. Focus on what you can do. And know the Force will be with you. Make of that what you will. Fill in the blanks of what speaks to you as an inspiration. Namaste. Blessed be. And so it goes.